Hey guys, welcome back to another news update. For those of you who have been following me lately, you know that I've been a bit busy trying to get these live shows bumping. The audience is slowly growing, so that's great. Soon I will need some moderators to help with the live chat and stuff, but for now it's okay. I know a couple of you have asked, and that's cool. But for now it's okay because it's still relatively small. But yeah, that will come for sure, guys. Also, now that I'm doing more live shows, I'll be updating the perks in Patreon tiers. So I'll be adding some cool new rewards for certain Patreons, like hanging out backstage, so to speak, or I guess you could call it like private after shows with me and the guest. And I'm just trying to think about stuff I can do for you guys, right? I couldn't do it before. It's stuff I always wanted to do, and maybe certain level Patrons will have wrenches beside their names and be moderators and stuff like that. So and also, I want to get the Patreon Discord back up and running. So I'll be giving you guys the link to the Discord. We can hang out and yeah, it'll be like a little chat club. So I want to try and get that running again. So there is a Patreon only Discord room, just so you guys know. If you need the link, just shoot me an email or something. Anyway, with all that being said, I do apologize that it's been so long since I've made a news update video. I just wanted to let you guys know why that is. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you'll never miss a live show. I'm also looking for interesting guests to come on the show. So if any of you guys have ever had like a near-death experience or been involved in like a demonic attack or just like anything interesting outside the box, and you want to come on and share, I'd love to have you on the show. I also need someone to debate a King James onlyist. And if I don't find someone soon, then I'll have to do it, I guess, for the sake of the show. And I've never debated anyone before in my life, so somebody save me because I don't really want to do it. Email me, okay, if you want to come on the show at my_transformation@hotmail.com. And there's no capitals, it's not case sensitive. I don't know why I put a capital H in there, don't worry about that. Okay guys, I'm sorry for the long intro. Today is, well, by the time I get this video out, it will be the 31st of August, 2020. And this is your End Times News Report. I plead with you, back off. California church fined thousands for meeting in person and singing. The pastor of a Baptist church in California begged state officials earlier this week to back off enforcing lockdowns on churches after his congregation received a $10,000 fine for holding two services last Sunday. Senior Pastor Jack Trebert of North Valley Baptist Church in Santa Clara, California, explained his church's predicament and pleaded with Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom to relent his shutdown order in a Facebook video that racked up millions of views since having been posted earlier this week. The church was fined $5,000 for holding a morning service and $5,000 for an evening service. The church was also issued a citation for singing during their worship services, according to a statement given to the Christian Post, which reported, the 4-page letter was posted on the front door of the church, and it accused North Valley Baptists of failing to prevent those attending, performing, and speaking at North Valley Baptist's service from singing. In the letter, county officials revealed they had been sending agents into the church to spy on the congregation during worship services. This activity is unlawful, the notice stated. The county understands that singing is an intimate and meaningful component of religious worship. However, public health experts have also determined that singing together in close proximity and without face coverings transmits virus particles further in the air than breathing or speaking quietly. The county demanded that North Valley Baptist immediately cease their activities, warning that failure to do so will result in enforcement action by the county. Violators of New Zealand's new mask law face up to $700 fines. During the same week, Germany's Merkel announced that across all but one German states, a mandatory mask law will be backed by a €50 fine for any violators. New Zealand has announced its own nationwide mandatory mask aboard all public transit amid a feared resurgence of COVID-19 cases, with a possible penalty for refusal of up to 1,000 New Zealand dollars. The small Pacific nation was previously celebrated as the first in the world to completely eradicate the virus after previously witnessing rapid community transmission. By the early part of August, the Wellington government announced we had beaten it, as new cases stopped being reported and following the strict lockdown measures of months prior, which had also involved shutting down the border for the island nation. Clusters of dozens of new cases began recently popping up again, however, after which the government ordered some 500 troops to border quarantine facilities to prevent the infected from breaching an isolation order. Many blamed foreign travel. The new mask mandate in effect this week applies to all buses, taxis, trains, ferries, and planes. New Zealand media confirms that from Monday, not wearing a mask on public transport will be punishable by a fine of up to $1,000 imposed by the courts or a $300 infringement notice. In New Zealand dollars, this works out to a little under $700. ISIS spreading in Africa seizes a city in Mozambique. 3 years after ISIS appeared to be on its last legs in Iraq and Syria, it has seized a city in Mozambique. The city is called Mocimboa da Praia, and now there are fears it may have a foothold that is growing in the country. This slow process of ISIS radicalization has taken place for a year or more now. However, it was largely dismissed as fear-mongering. Now the group has infiltrated, and some are concerned that it may be on the cusp of a larger offense. Much like in the ISIS offense in Iraq in the summer of 2014, the attacks in Southeast Africa have displaced hundreds of thousands. The port now affects the whole of Cabo Delgado province. This is in northern Mozambique. The International Committee of the Red Cross has warned of a humanitarian crisis that may grow. While some still argue that ISIS is not actually causing or driving the war here, but it is instead just inequality or poverty, the kinds of images we see from Mozambique look like the same Islamist insurgencies in Nigeria or Somalia or other areas. While the international community is distracted by COVID-19 and major powers like the US no longer play a role in coordinating efforts like concentrating on these kinds of emergencies, ISIS can thrive in the margins. It's done the same in the Philippines and across the Sahel in Africa. It preys on weak states and under-governed areas. South Africa is the major regional state that could intervene and turn the tide. But it's yet unclear as if it, or Tanzania, or Kenya will do more. 3 dead, hundreds of thousands affected as destructive storm hits Victoria, Australia. Destructive storms packing winds of up to 158 kilometers an hour wreaked havoc in Victoria, Australia on Thursday, August 27, 2020, leaving at least 3 people dead. Power was disrupted to 95,000 households, while 250,000 homes were affected by possible water contamination. Over 3,000 calls were made to the state emergency services for assistance as numerous trees were torn down and several properties were damaged. A 59-year-old man was killed after a tree crashed onto his car in Belgrave, while a 36-year-old woman lost her life in the same manner on the Marahunda Highway. Hurricane Laura death toll climbs to 14 in the U.S. 14 people are now confirmed dead in the United States after Hurricane Laura battered southern states. 10 of the victims were in Louisiana and 4 in Texas. Winds of up to 240 kilometers an hour, wow, that's insane, that's 150 miles per hour, caused severe damage, with power cuts to more than 500,000 homes and a chemical fire from an industrial plant. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards has asked the federal government for immediate financial assistance in dealing with the fallout. According to the White House, President Donald Trump will travel to the 2 states on Saturday to meet with people affected by the hurricane. Laura has now been downgraded to a tropical storm status, but heavy rain is still falling on several states. In Haiti, which was earlier badly hit by storms Marco and Laura, at least 31 people are now reported to have lost their lives. So what's the latest in the U.S.? Mr. Edwards said he asked President Trump to declare a federal disaster for 23 parishes in Louisiana. Hurricane Laura is the 5th strongest storm to make landfall in the United States in recorded history, and the first in memory to maintain major hurricane strength as it traveled through Louisiana, bringing catastrophic destruction to many parishes. Neuralink, Elon Musk unveils pig with chip in its brain. And a little crazy Elon to end the night for you guys, eh? Elon Musk has unveiled a pig called Gertrude with a coin-sized computer chip in her brain to demonstrate his ambitious plans to create a working brain-to-machine interface. It's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires, the billionaire entrepreneur said on a webcast. His startup, Neuralink, applied to launch human trials last year. The interface could allow people with neurological conditions to control phones or computers with their mind. Mr. Musk argues such chips could eventually be used to help cure conditions such as dementia, Parkinson's disease, and spinal cord injuries. Well, that would be good if everything worked nicely like that. But the long-term ambition is to usher in an age of what Mr. Musk calls superhuman cognition, in part to combat artificial intelligence so powerful, he says, it could destroy the human race. Gertrude was one of 3 pigs and pens that took part in Friday's webcast demo. She took a while to get going, but when she ate and sniffed straw, the activity showed up on a graph tracking her neural activity. She then mostly ignored all the attention around her. The processor in her brain sends wireless signals indicating neural activity in her snout when looking for food. It actually fits quite nicely in your skull. It could be under your hair and you wouldn't even know. That's a quote from Elon, not me. The device the company is developing consists of a tiny probe containing more than 3,000 electrodes attached to a flexible threads thinner than a human hair, which can monitor the activity of 1,000 brain neurons. Once they have the recordings, Neuralink will need to decode them and will someday hit the barrier that is our lack of basic understanding of how the brain works, no matter how many neurons they record from. Decoding goals and movement plans is hard when you don't understand the neural code in which these things are communicated. Mr. Musk's companies SpaceX and Tesla have captured the public imagination with his attempts to drive progress in spaceflight and electric vehicles respectively. But both also demonstrate the entrepreneur's habit of making bold declarations about projects that end up taking much longer to complete than planned. Okay, you guys are the best. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss any live shows coming up. And I'm looking for guests, so if you guys want to be a guest, like I said, or you want to debate or something, please shoot me an email and we'll see and we'll try and get you on the show, okay? Have a good night. God bless everybody.